I will take that as... Alright. Excellent, everyone! Welcome to SNES Super Stars. My name is ilikebeingsmart. This is Wario's Woods versus Com, the expert mode. And I'm very excited to show this off. There is actually a lore to this game. If you go to @ilikebeingsmart, this is a free Twitter plug. The lore is actually my pinned tweet. So, if you want to see the lore. Alright. So I'll just get going and just kind of go through the basic mechanics of the game. This is so much fun. There's a lot to it. So hopefully, yeah. Oh no, this isn't Virtual Boy. This is actually a cart for the Super Nintendo. So 3. I'll do my best to look at chat, but also I've got to play. Especially later on, you'll see it gets a little complicated. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So welcome to the woods. If you are wondering where the woods are, it's actually the first couple of levels is where the woods are. So there are woods, it's just not here. Typically in the categories we run for speedruns, we start on the ghost because the earlier ones can be a little trolly, basically. So you will notice throughout the run a few things. One, the music is pretty repetitive, the sound effects are amazing. Also, this doesn't look hard right now, but it gets pretty hard later, so I probably will lose at some point just because it is a single segment run. Obviously, if you lose in the normal, speed run when you're grinding, you can just reset. And at some point, I will inevitably look for a bomb that won't come, and it'll screw me over. So those are the two things you can expect. The basic mechanics are you can clear 3 or more of the same color. The only requirement is you need a bomb that falls from the top of the screen. If you clear 5 or more, like I just did, you get a diamond. A diamond will clear all the monsters on your screen of the same color and also turn all the bombs on the computer screen into monsters. There are 2 ways you can beat around. The first way to beat around is by clearing all the monsters on your side of the screen. The second way to beat around is to crush the other side of the screen. The way you do that is to lower the thwomp on the top of the screen you see there. So by doing that, you clear 4 or more at the same time monsters and or bombs. So I think I can get a crush here. Let's see. Yeah, let me do this. Diamond here. We'll get this 4 here, and that'll crush him. So those are the 2 ways you can win. Yeah. You can clear horizontally, diagonally, or vertically. Just to give you kind of a sense of what's happening on the screen. So you see at the very top, there's like a timer that's ticking up. That is where you go from dropping all bombs, like the fairy at the top of the screen is doing right now, to dropping bombs and monsters. When that happens, then your number 1 way of beating the game, which is by clearing all the monsters, gets a little bit harder. But if you get crush kills, then you don't need to worry about it. Sure, it's not flim. Yes, good transition. I just caught that. Wario's Woods does have a Nintendo version, an NES version. That version, speedrun, is more like the round mode version of this game. And it basically is just clearing all the monsters, and then occasionally there's bosses and stuff. The big difference from a control scheme perspective between this game and that game is that you have only 2 buttons, whereas here I have 3 buttons I can use. So I use 1 button to pick down individual stacks. I use 1 button to put like this big stack on top, and then I use a 3rd button to pick up a stack entirely like this. So and then you only have 2 buttons in the NES version, which is absolutely crazy. I don't know how they do it. So yeah, I was saying, so it's a best of 5 format, which is what those stars are in the middle of the screen. And so first 1 to 3 wins, or first 3 out of 5 wins. Like I said, I probably will be losing, so don't get your hopes up too much. Yes. Sweet, woohoo, breakfast. I don't have a breakfast set up right now, but...
Sweet.
Yes. Well, actually, the round clear in this game goes for 255 rounds, but it caps out at 99. But yeah, if you go right all the way, you can max it out at 255. And that goes through the woods and the castle and all the other various places. That mode's okay.
Whoa.
The thing I don't like about it is, the thing I don't really care about much for that mode is some of the color schemes make it hard to see what colors you're trying to get with the monsters. So when I was a kid, I would know I was getting tired because I wouldn't be able to tell my colors apart, and then I go to sleep. So that was the surefire way. So anyway, tangent aside. So this bar is gonna go up and max out, and so the monsters are gonna drop from the top of the screen now. That just means I wasn't fast enough. The only way I can get that bar to go up or down is if there are chains that happen. I mean, this is an exhibition as much as it is a speed run. Let me set up a chain here for you. So if you look at this chain that I'm gonna do,
Cool.
and then it sends a column to the other side, and that bar, in this case, it goes up because it was on monster mode. And if it's on the fairy mode at the beginning that you start with, that bar goes down and gives you more time. So, yeah. So that's that mechanic for the bar. There's the stars, 3 out of 5 mode. And then those little characters in the middle. Right now, there's just the 2 characters beneath the stars where it's up and down. Those are the only types of horizontal, vertical you use in this particular speedrun. But when you get into the round game, there's monsters where you need to blow them up twice with the same bomb in a certain amount of time. There's monsters you can only clear diagonally. There's other types of monsters, and when you play versus mode or other type of round game modes, that's where it'll show up to tell you how to do those, clear those monsters. This game has a fantastic tutorial. Because if it looks complicated, it's because it is complicated, in my opinion. Just my opinion. But it has a really good tutorial mode going over how to use each button depending on the control scheme you want to use, and it's so much fun. Alright. Yeah, so I don't know what that is. Is it a bat? Is it a raven? Like, I mean, the fairy's dropping the bombs for sure. But your guess, chat, is as good as mine, whether or not, whether or not what the heck that little monster guy is, and hopefully we will be seeing as little of him as possible through this run. Because if we are, that means I'm going fast. So, we'll do this. So one of the unique things versus some of the other puzzle runs, one of the cool things about this compared to some of the other runs you've seen is that I'm moving everything. So versus if you were here earlier for ACMLM's Dr. Mario run, which was incredible. Go back and watch that if you are a puzzle game fan after this. But, so in Tetris too, is that, you know, things start in a certain way. And they start in this way as well. But the thing is, I'm moving everything around to try to, you know, make it to where I want to go. And that's actually also a difference I learned in the NES version, is that when those diamonds drop, they actually stay in place on the NES version. You have to work around them. So this is a game where literally I am moving everything. And so some of the speed tech that comes along with that is really interesting as well. If you have a question, you can ping me at ilikebeingsmart in chat. I'll probably be able to see it a little bit better while I'm trying to go back and forth. Just FYI. So Yeah, so there's some speed tech to this game. There's also RNG manipulation in this game as well. I'll talk about that a little bit more when I get to some of the later levels. Oh, basic thing. What's the difference between normal and expert? So normal mode is so the main difference is where the monster levels start at. So the monster levels, when you do normal mode, start at the same height and actually also the same pattern. But as you'll see here when I start, I have more monsters than the computer does. And it's like this now, but it gets spicier as we go on, particularly in the castle portion of the game. And if you have not seen this game before, you will understand why I call it castle. So I'm trying to think before I get into nerdy speed tech if there's any other basics I haven't covered. Not answering those kinds of questions, game-related questions. But the ping worked, so good job. That works better than I thought it would, so that's cool. So there is some really cool speed tech of this game. There's the guy who has the world record of this category. I made my estimate pretty generous. It's a 50-minute estimate, but that's because I can get trolled later on because of the patterns. Most of the time it's just between 40 and 45 minutes, honestly. The best player of this game, his name is Monty. I think the world record for this category now is 20-something minutes, like a low 20, I don't know, it's something crazy, insane that you would not believe. That I can't even believe, and I've been playing it. I speedrun it. Yeah, so the record of this game is insane. I think my PB is like a 30, 50 something, so high 30 minutes, low 31, something like that. But because you can get trolled really hard, you kind of have to make the estimate high in a marathon setting. So, does that Hahu sound like Mickey Mouse? The harder round mode? I haven't played much of the NES version. I go to GDQs, and I keep meaning at GDQs to play the NES version, but then I just get distracted by the board game room. So, I've never actually gotten around to it. So I haven't played the NES version. I think this version has probably the harder versus com mode.
Whoa!
I don't know which one would be harder, because I just don't have experience with it, so yeah, so speed tech, there's a couple of things you can do to make things faster. One of the things you can do is, like I said earlier, you can crush your opponent by getting lots of 4 in a row, 5 in a row. Oh yeah, so that's the egg. So the sound, we call it I don't know, it sounds like he's saying friction or breakfast, but we call it breakfast because it's an egg. So it's when you kind of make like a combo, essentially, if you think about it in other games. Like, so 2 different types of clears at the same time. If that egg explodes, you have a column of monsters that pops up that you need to clear. So one of the important things, like when you're playing, is to clear that egg at all costs. Because especially in the later levels, when you basically get trapped. There we go, double diamonds there.
Sweet.
How long does it take me to learn the strats for the speedrun? It's kind of funny how the evolution of this speedrun happened, because I didn't think of it as a speedrun. I just, like a lot of people, you know, when they do speedruns, they don't think of their game as a speed game until someone points out that they play it really fast. So one day I was kind of just like bummed out, kind of back when I used to stream more often, didn't really know what to stream. And I, start playing this game, and it's like, man, you're really good at this game. You play it really fast. I'm like, oh, really? And then I looked and saw there was a speedrun by Cypher, the Mega Man legend. Also Bucky O'Hare speedrunner, who also speedran this game. And he had patterns that he used to try to, you know, figure out the beginnings. So the kind of neat thing, kind of an RNG thing about this game is that the beginning, each level has a set pool of patterns that you can play from. So if you get to know the starts of the patterns really well, that's one way to get better. The other way to get better is this game has a set of bomb RNG as well. And as long as you don't play round game mode, the color order of the bombs doesn't change. So now some people, like Monty, can play and actually just get good times with whatever kind of RNG seed you have. So that's actually part of the reason why I did this run for Tree Fort as well, where you can hear the lower red notes blurry. And for Tree Fort, when they said, hey, can you play the game? You know, I'm like, I either have to play the game or I have to like just sit in the menu screen, because you actually can't let the title screen run without changing the bomb RNG in the versus comp speedrun. So I've kind of we found that out. We had somebody go in, like a tasser, go in and kind of like figure that out. So round game changes the RNG. There's a time race mode that changes the RNG of the bombs. Running the intro sequence at the beginning, if you just let the beginning run, changes the RNG of the bombs. And between all of that, at least for me, because I'm not as flexible as I want to be with it, one of the ways I get better at speedrunning is just finding an RNG seed and staying with it, and then figuring out how to run around that. I like this particular RNG seed because, especially in the later levels, there's a lot of red bombs available early, and a lot of the later patterns have easy setups for red bombs. So that's one of the reasons I like this particular RNG seed. When we initially had RNG seeds, I made a big document file where I did like really good. I tried to figure out if there was like a good RNG seed to find. So I went through the top runs at the time and I sorted out like where all the RNG seeds from the set pattern was, because we ended up getting these lists. So kind of the way it works is there's like a big like 4 different lists of 64 bombs, and well, there's like one big list, but to make it easier for us to look through it, the guy who put together the stuff for us put it into 4 separate lists of 64 bombs each that run through each level. And so when I looked through, you can start predicting through these lists like what bomb colors are going to drop next. And so then I did that to try to see if there were any good patterns that consistently would get good times. So that's kind of what I look through to try to figure out how to speedrun the game more efficiently. This is stream buffering. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with my stream. Also, this game has a lot of dropped inputs, which is no fun. Either that or I literally just play on the laggiest equipment of anyone in the puzzle game community I know. Because it just seems like my stuff lags a lot, so I'm sorry about that. Blizzardon? Yeah. So these guys all have really fun names. Also, what's very unique, if you ever decide to play this yourself, which I would recommend, if you like puzzle games, I'd recommend picking it up. All of the characters have different names, but they also have different intro messages, and they also have unique messages when you lose and try to restart them again. So when you lose, it's like they basically kind of trash talk you, and then you have to start again. But each one of them is unique. I'll play that when I get done with oh, I call her Witch in my splits. I don't remember what her actual name is. But I'll play one of the intro messages for you. Yes. Yes, it does. It does very much. And you can kind of see that now, but we're still in comfortable territory right now. And you might look at these height differences of the monsters and be like, wait, this is comfortable, question mark, but yeah. We're still in territory where I feel okay, kind of riffing and looking at chat and stuff like that, and not worried too much about losing. I'm sure at some point I'll have to buckle down a little bit. Well, I will have to. But because in addition to your stack continually getting higher, their stack continually gets lower. So they start with less monsters, and you start with more monsters. And it's kind of a disaster. It sucks. Look, there's just no way around it. It sucks. And anyone who is pro Wario in the chat, oh, spoilers, Wario's the final boss. Anyone who's pro Wario in the chat, I will have to respectfully disagree with you based off of this game, and you'll see why when we get there. Yeah, I mean, this is what you get when, you know, they call you and they're like, hey, we'll give you better internet. And then there's no... So, the kind of unique thing about, sorry, give me a sec. Sorry, sometimes I have to stall out and actually think about what I'm doing. It's almost like I'm playing a puzzle game or something, you know, where you have to, like, think and use your brain to actually intelligently play the game. It's crazy, right? Very unbalanced? Yeah, I can see that. I can see how you'd feel that this game was unbalanced a little bit. It's got a really high skill ceiling. Like, I'm kind of riffing with you guys. And, like, I'm obviously playing the best I can. I'm not, like, purposefully playing bad, but there's a lot you can do. Yes, that is a great way to get better at this game. Actually, when I was watching Monty play initially, that was one of the things I told him when he's like, how do I get better? It's being able to see the diagonals, because a lot of these types of puzzle games don't normally have diagonals built into them. Also, Grace, yeah. Sometimes I like trying to call the mobs and it doesn't work. I knew Cyan was gonna be close though. Because I know this RNG scene pretty well. But yeah, being able to find diagonals is very, very helpful, because a lot of the, like, more traditional puzzle games don't have a diagonal vibe with them. So not only being able to see them, but create them yourself and effectively be able to clear them is a really helpful tool. Not only that, but an in-game mechanic of diagonals is it actually raises the screen. It raises your thwomp. So you can raise your thwomp through chains, but you can also raise it through diagonals. Diagonals of 3, clears of 4 or more, or through chains are the ways you raise the stack if it gets lower. So, oh, I said I was gonna watch the intros on one of these. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm talking. So what do you, hey chat, what do you think these monsters look like? Because since I don't have any commentary, and it's hard to carry a puzzle game with no help, what do you think some of these monsters look like? Have any ideas? I'll give myself a second too to read a little bit. Because I don't know. I mean, there's no correct answer to this.
Hello.
Uh-oh. Oh, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose. I was waiting for bombs and I got greedy. I'm gonna lose. There's no way I win this. Bummer. That's a pretty decent time to lose, though, if I'm gonna lose. Rabbits. Viruses from Dr. Mario. Oh, that's a good point. Goombas. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Okay. So here's the thing, is that now I have to pay attention a little bit, just because y'all are lovely folks, but I don't want to, like, lose a round. That's part of why the estimate is so high, because if you do lose a best of 3 round, you need to go back to the beginning. So that sucks, and I wouldn't want that to happen. So let me just buckle down a hair, and then we'll introduce you to the castle, and then you'll get to see why it's the castle and how it's great. Oh, here's a speed tech thing I can talk about while I'm doing this. So I don't know if there's an official name for it. I guess because it wasn't, if you're interested in the normal speedrun, it was actually done at an AGDQ. PD Boo did it. He dressed up as the bunny, who we'll see in a little bit. So one of the speed tech for this game is color optimization. So you want to get rid of all of the monsters and bombs of the same color, because then no more of them spawn. So the sooner you can do that, the less you can get out of the pool. And that's good for when monster mode ends up coming up, because, excuse me, when monster mode comes up, any type of color that is on the screen, bomb or monster, can be dropped. So you want to get rid of all of the same colors as fast as you possibly can while you're trying to clear out all the monsters, in order to reduce that possibility when things happen.
Cool.
Let me see if I can trap them here. I'll look at chat after this. Shortly, give me a sec.
Sweet.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
This does look like a... Okay. So I'm gonna let this play through, just because we're fine on time. 25 minutes to castle is fine. So this is the castle. So there's a reason we call it the castle. You might notice the beautiful decoration in the background. Castles where stuff gets real. Yeah, stuff gets real when it comes time for castle, and it's because I have more monsters, they have less monsters, and you also have some beautiful, beautiful scenery. That hopefully now you can see a little bit more clearly as I've lowered my stack a bit. So you see there, like, one of the things I was trying to do from a speed tech perspective,
Cool.
what I was trying to do was have the green bombs cleared within that green diamond. The bomb also the diamond also counts as a bomb. So I'm gonna do this.
Cool.
So sometimes you get these really easy patterns, which are really nice to have, because they're pretty much free wins. You don't have to worry about them as much.
Cool.
I haven't read so much of the dialogue, so I actually didn't know what he was gonna
Hello.
say. Okay. Okay, sure. Like this, I'm gonna be fine. Like, I'm not worried. But that's annoying. Then all we need to do is that. We're good.
Sweet.
Yeah. So is this how Wario actually looks? So another thing about the RNG is for the way the lists work is that, like, there's a big list of all the bombs, and so it skips either 64 bombs forward or 64 bombs backwards. So this particular set of lists that I have, or the particular RNG, the way I have it set up, skips backward. So it's like, it will do like 64 and skip backwards. So the next pattern, I'm gonna try to, should I try to call bomb RNG? Let's try to call bomb RNG. This might be embarrassing, but it's for fun anyway, right? It's a speed run, but it's a good time. So I think off of what I saw there, the first 3 bombs, I can't remember what the first color bomb is, but the second and third color bomb should be green and red, if I remember correctly from where I'm seeing it in the RNG. I might look like an idiot, but that's fine. That's fine. It's a good time. We're here at SNES Super Stars on a Friday night after Thanksgiving. We're having a good time. We're watching some puzzle games. I need a pink bomb really bad, dude. Come on. we'll see if I'm right. Of course I'm not. There's nothing I can do there. I just wasn't dropping any bombs. So there we go. I couldn't remember what the first color was. So yeah, that just has to do with the RNG seed of the bombs. And then the next one should also be cyan, green, red. Because this particular one resets back for whatever reason instead of resetting forward. So I made it look like magic. Oh, the diamond. I just saw somebody bring up the diamond.
Cool.
Yeah, the diamond destroys all the colors of the monsters on your playing field. And then it also gives all the bombs on the other person's screen monsters of that particular color. I'm not quite sure how the diamond RNG works. That's one thing I wish I was a little better at knowing. But the diamond will spawn anywhere within the 5 monsters and or bombs you blew up. So sometimes it can get, like early on in rounds, the idea, at least in these later rounds, or how I address it, is to try to get a diamond to clear as many bombs from the, or clear as many monsters from the screen as possible, because as we're getting later on, these monster patterns are getting closer to the top of the screen. So the idea is to try to get, see, I wasn't right, but that's fine. The idea is to try to get as much room as you possibly can. It's kind of like a Dr. Mario vibe, where like you try to keep your screen flat. If you listen to the Dr. Mario commentary earlier, you try to keep your screen as flat as possible, and then you, I need a green really bad. I'm gonna wait. There you go. And then you use a diamond to clear. Again, not so crucial at the moment, but definitely when Wario and Harry come around, the bunny at the next stage. Okay, cool. I thought that might happen. So there you go. There's that's a perfect example of good color optimization. So I used the bombs to make sure I got rid of all the colors, and within just a couple of seconds, I took a board that was going to have 5 or 6 colors on it and turned it into 3 colors because of this unfortunate green bomb here. And now it's 2 colors. So now I can just take whatever is here, do this.
Hello.
I have no bombs. That's why that noise went off and nothing changed. There you go. That's the way you want to approach the end of a level. Homemade pumpkin pie. Heck yeah. Sounds good. So this level is very much an exercise in diagonals. There's actually, I hope a pattern pops up later, because there's actually a pattern later on in the next level that only pops up on expert mode in the next level and in Wario. So I hope we'll get to see that. If not, that's fine. White, pink. Oh, dang it. Where's my pink bomb? Where's my pink bomb? You know how I said, chat, that I was gonna, at some point I was gonna wait for a bomb and it was gonna backfire? This is that point. Because now I'm in monster mode. Rip me. That's... Oh, now you show up with a pink. Okay. Okay, game. Now you want to show up with a pink. Not the bomb that I'd been waiting for 20 bombs. You just show up with the diamond. Nifty. And do this to clear off the pinks there. I trapped them anyway, but that's just a safety precaution. Yes, these last 4 monsters are very, very difficult. You can very easily, like when I was practicing for this particular run, I had a run that went into Wario, which is the last stage, that was like sub 30 minutes, and then I instantly lost the first 2 stages due to pattern RNG. Like, there literally was just nothing I could do about it. Like, he cleared it quickly, I didn't have enough room to clear, and like, there was just nothing I could do, and I'm instantly down room 2. That's kind of why I left the estimate a little bit on the higher side. So that way, if that happens, there's an opportunity to fix it. Because you do have to start from the beginning, so... But yeah, it's really easy to get wrecked in this mode. There are certain, I'm more of the, like, Pokemon Puzzle League Tetris Attack community, and there's a god in that community named Cards of the Heart. And okay, actually there's a reason I cut that off. The reason I cut that off is because I didn't want to give him more monsters to work with, because kind of the downside of chains is, the downside of sending chains, particularly in these expert levels, is you send more monsters over to the other side, which gives them more opportunity to just mess with you. So sometimes you want to cut things off, and I love this game for so many reasons, but that's just one of the reasons. There's just a nuance to it and just such a high skill ceiling of decision making that you can do or not do. There's also pretty cool movement tech when you're climbing up these columns, and you can grab a monster that you want to grab from the column while you're climbing up it. So it's kind of like so at least for me, I can't have a controller where the buttons are too sticky because my finger doesn't slide off it to be able to do that. But interestingly enough, I kind of discovered as I was watching Monty's speedruns that it's actually slower to do that. So if you want like the real speed tech of this game, you try to climb the columns as little as possible. So yeah, I know there's more gods. Yoshi is a god. Cards is a god. Like, there's so many gods. Like, ACM is a god of Dr. Mario. I'm not trying to neglect the gods, but Cards couldn't play this game. Just to give you a sense. Like he tried to play it. We did like a normal mode race of it, and he couldn't do it. And I love Cards. I'm not trying to throw him under the bus or anything, but it's just like it's a really difficult game with a very high skill ceiling. Is the point I'm trying to make. How hard is it to stop tunnel vision? It's really hard, actually. All good puzzle games, like all good puzzle games, you need to watch what your opponent is doing. And, oh no, that egg's gonna go off. I'm not gonna get to it in time. Damn it. Okay, so this is the unique pattern that comes with this mode and, Wario, by the way. Yeah, tunnel vision is really hard. You need to make sure you're keeping awareness of the board and having the flexibility to be able to, pivot. Because that's what gets you kind of messed up in the later rounds, is, like, sometimes I'll get tunneled on eating one bomb. And then I just wait for that bomb and it'll go to monster mode, or I'll lose, or... it's very, very, very difficult, in my opinion at least, to make sure you don't tunnel vision too hard. But one of the ways to do that is constantly be looking for diagonals. Another way to do that is to, also, shoutouts to how high this pattern is. Where are we time-wise right now? Okay. This is, it's a run. But I've been explaining a lot, so it's fine. So yeah, it's difficult. But yeah, if you want like the real speed strats of this game, the hardcore speed strats are to climb up stacks as little as possible. And it's so hard for me to do that because I love my swag strats. I love climbing up a stack, grabbing a monster I want, climbing up the stack, grabbing another monster I want, throwing it down, and doing all this stuff because it looks really cool, but it's actually a lot slower. Whoa. So, hello? Okay, that was rude. That wasn't nice. That was not nice. I can't get over that. Alright. I'll let the Wario dialogue play. I'm gonna be underestimate. I have confidence in my Wario today. Wait. I have confidence in my Wario.
Yes.
Okay. I have 10 minutes to beat him. I grew weary of waiting for you. Really? This is the end of the line for you, Toad! Do you know how many people can actually consistently make it here in 40 minutes? Really? You took... What a dude. Okay, so this is part of the reason why I think Wario's a jerk. It's because, do you see how many monsters he has? Do you see how many monsters I have? Do you see how unfair this is? I mean, if you think this is fair, I mean, you have an opinion, and that's totally cool if you think this is fair, but I don't think this is fair. Hold on, sorry, I need to readjust this. This is another one of these, like, nuance things. I want to get a diamond here with these whites on the diagonal. I just need to readjust it a little bit, because if I move the bomb in the wrong place, it will explode other places. So, just something I gotta be careful of. And it's just constantly processing this information. That's all it is. It's just constant processing of where do you go next and stuff. Alright, there's one.
Sweet.
Okay. So here is going to take a little while to get the cyan bomb here. So it's going to do another rotation. And it's going to go...
Cool.
So dark blue, yellow, cyan here. So that's one of those ones where it's not smart. So one of the things you don't want to do in these later stages is wait because of that. It's 100% why you don't want to wait. Okay, hold on. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, give me room. Give me more room. This is why waiting is bad.
Cool.
But the white bomb's gonna come now. And I can just readjust this over here. This can get pretty intense. Oh my god. Are you what? Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Wario doesn't play fair, and thereby he doesn't play fair. That's a good point. That's a good point. So this is gonna be... So, I don't know where this is in my set of lists, but if I were looking at this list, this would be a back-to-back 2-2. So I think of when I think of like my rotations in my mind of like what bombs are coming up next, this is like super advanced like stuff, but I think it's kind of interesting. I think of it as like a 2-2 pattern. So I just saw 2 times in a row the same starting pattern happen of bombs. So something different will happen next time. Because sometimes it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and sometimes it's a 1, 2, 2, 3. So since I'm on the second 2, they're like I won't be expecting a red bomb third next time, because that's not what is going to happen on the next pattern. So just little stuff like that. That's bad color optimization, but should be fine. I would really like to crush him. That is the play right now, just to crush him. Ah! I need a white bomb to do that. There we go. There we go.
Sweet.
Alright. And we get this pattern again. Nice. Cool. Glad this pattern showed up twice. So, I'm running out of things to say and getting toward the end of the run. Shoutouts to Monty. If you go to the speedrun.com leaderboard, he's the best runner of this game by a long shot. Go watch his run of Expert. It's crazy. Shoutouts to Puzzle General. You can find them in the Discord. There's all types of fun puzzle goodness. And here we go. That was pretty quick. Alright. That was Wario's Woods. expert mode.
Yeah.
The end. All these fun little character sprites. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the run. So thank you very much. My name's Ben, I like being smart. And I don't know who's next, but hopefully it will be more awesomeness. Thank you so much.